Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Workouts ongoing at the combine, and yeah, people pay attention to the 40-yard dash and the bench press and a lot of that sort of stuff, but by and large, the most important part of the combine are the medical and the interviews. The medical is where a lot of times guys, teams will poke and prod and go basically a full evaluation of every player to see if there's anything that could potentially limit your ability at the next level. That's one. And two is, of course, the interview. It's an opportunity for a front office to sit down and get to know a player. And the teams are limited to how many of those interviews they could do at the combine. So whenever a team uses one of those interviews on a player, it's very notable. And Nick Underhill over at NewOrleans.football reported that the Saints, while at the combine, interviewed both Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, the guys who are assumed to be the top two quarterbacks in this draft. Cam Ward, of course, we know his story. Started at Incarnate Word, was there for 2 years, went to Washington State for 2 years, decided to come back, play one more season of college football. He transfers at Miami, takes advantage of the COVID year, makes seven figures, and had a great year. He won the Davey O'Brien. He won the Manning Award. He was the ACC Player of the Year. He was a consensus All-American. He was awesome this year. Finished fourth in the Heisman voting. And Cam Ward at the Combine kind of explained why he believes he's the best quarterback in this draft.
The tape says everything, I believe, and I'm honest to that. But I think just what separates me from everybody is the way I approach it, the mindset that I have going into the field each and every game. And, I mean, coming from, my journey, not a lot of people can do that. And so I just think it shows, the work that I'm willing to put in, whether I go first round or second round. At the end of the day, that draft pick don't mean nothing. It's all about, establishing yourself once you get the opportunity.
Cam Ward, of course, 22 years old, played 5 years of college football. So, you have a mature veteran player here. Shedeur Sanders, we know, of course, is Deion's kid, won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. He was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year this season. Led the country in completion percentage at 74%. So a great season for Shedeur, following up the 4-7 season at Colorado with a 9-win season, 9-4 this year at Colorado, which was awesome to see, man. I've spoken pretty openly the last 2 years, my feelings on Shedeur Sanders. In 2023, with no offensive line, got the holy hell kicked out of him by everybody, and still went through for 27 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions. He took a beating but protected the football and was a very efficient passer, throwing for over 3,200 yards and completing nearly 70% of his passes. And he built on that this year, throwing for 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, QB rating of 168.2. Shedeur was awesome this year. Overshadowed by Travis Hunter's magnificent season where he won the Heisman Trophy, but Shedeur was awesome. And Shedeur, look, he's not lacking confidence like his dad, but believes that he's a guy that could turn a team around.
I've been through 6 different OCs, so I'm able to adjust to any offense and every scheme and make it work. We went from Jackson State to Colorado and changed 2 programs back to back. So you don't think I could come to an NFL franchise and change the program again? It's history. We've done it again. It's always going to repeat itself.
I think a lot of times people may not like the flash, the style that sometimes accompanies Deion. Let's call it the sizzle. But don't let the sizzle distract you from the steak, because same with Deion, Coach Prime, as it is with Shedeur. There's a lot there as far as the personality, but don't ever mistake the competitor and the ability, because Shedeur has all that. He was phenomenal as a college quarterback. If the New Orleans Saints choose to draft either one of these guys, I'd be ecstatic. I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's a Caleb Williams, Joe Burrow, like a no-doubt number 1 pick in this year's draft throughout this process that may materialize. And sometimes you're wrong, right? Sometimes you pick a guy at the top of the draft and you're wrong. I mean, Jaden Daniels certainly had a much better rookie season than Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams may be a great NFL quarterback in time, but Jaden was was better as a rookie. That's undeniable. But if the Saints pick one of these, I'm 100% okay with it for a lot of reasons. Number one, if you take one of these quarterbacks, and I'm assuming, especially considering Mickey Loomis said this week, for all intents and purposes, the comments Mickey Loomis made, we are led to believe Derek Carr will be back. So if Derek Carr is going to be back this year, then drafting one of these guys effectively gives you the opportunity to let them sit for a year behind Derek Carr. And we've seen that happen, and we've seen it work successfully. Patrick Mahomes sat for a year behind Alex Smith. That's worked out okay. Look, Michael Penix. The Falcons just drafted Michael Penix with a top 10 pick after signing Kirk Cousins. The idea was for Penix to sit behind Cousins. Cousins struggled late in the season. Penix went in, but he wasn't thrust into the starting role day one as a rookie. Jordan Love was drafted behind Aaron Rodgers and sat and had the opportunity to watch and grow. Rodgers was drafted behind Brett Favre. There's a benefit to it when franchises are willing to be patient and allow their young quarterbacks that opportunity. Having Carr back, if you were to take one of these guys, would allow you that opportunity. Now, you would have to eat Derek Carr's contract in 2025 and then very likely move on in 2026 with that sort of approach. I also, just to be very clear, do not think this is likely for a couple of reasons. Number one, the Saints pick ninth. I understand the feeling that these guys aren't like the no doubt 1-2 top of the draft the way Williams and Daniels were a year ago. And even then Drake May, who went third. But it's hard to imagine these two guys lasting until 9. Now, we know the Saints have a propensity to move up in the draft. It's a Mickey Loomis special. Says he'll always take more draft picks, but he'll sure, you want to give them to me? I'll take them. Will he ever trade back to acquire assets? Hell no, he ain't doing that. He's going to be aggressive and move up. So could the Saints move up? Sure, they could. If one of these guys takes a little bit of a tumble and slips past into 3, 4, 5, did the Saints try to get active and move up a few spots? Perhaps. Maybe 6 is a target. The Raiders are sitting there at 6. Could take a quarterback, could take another position. Maybe something worth keeping an eye on. And we'll see what happens through free agency as well to see what teams' needs are specifically. But again, another part of that too is with Loomis's comments this week and the assumption that Derek Carr is going to be back, you're going to have to restructure Derek Carr's contract. If he's going to be back, he's going to be back under a rework deal. And in restructuring Derek Carr, it's going to save you almost $31 million instantly. You're about $56 million over the cap right now. So that almost gets you all the way there, right? Just with that restructure of Derek Carr. Now, what that means, though, is you continue to push Derek Carr, your financial commitment to Derek Carr into future years. So you are bound financially to Derek Carr further, which means next year we're having the same conversation, regardless of what you do in the draft. And also, if you're going to commit yourself to Derek Carr, and if the Saints truly are in a win-now mode as they feel, and if you have the 9th pick in the draft, you're not taking a quarterback that's going to help you win in the future. You're taking a player that's going to help you win today, if that truly is your approach. That's not what I would do. That y'all know what I would do. I would cut Derek Carr, designate him as a post-June 1 release. I would play Spencer Rattler and sign a very inexpensive veteran quarterback on a 1-year deal. I would take my licking this year, and I would go into the 26th draft and be poised to take one of the players in that draft. Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier, whoever it may be. Lenore Sellers might be in that draft. We'll see. I don't know who's going to be where, what it'll look like. Miller Moss very likely be in that draft. There's a lot of potential on paper right now for 26 to be a much deeper draft. And so you'd in theory be poised to draft who you hope could be your franchise. That's what I would do. They're not asking my opinion. Clearly, I don't think anyone over there is interested in talking to me. But if the Saints are going to take time at the Combine to meet with both Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, they are at least preparing for the possibility. Like, what do we do when the draft rolls around if those guys happen to be there and available for us in some situation? That's something you got to consider. You do your due diligence, and they're doing it here with the top 2 quarterbacks, the perceived top 2 quarterbacks in this year's draft class. So something else worth watching as free agency gets underway here in just a few weeks, and then obviously when the draft rolls around in April. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.